Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today let's talk about my starter Atlas tree. So over on my live stream on twitch.tv/Palsteron, we have been brainstorming quite a bit over the last few days, kind of over the first Atlas passive tree that we want to go for, which is basically a scenario when you first time get into maps and you unlock all the Atlas passive points for the first time, which is obviously a crucial time. If you know how to allocate your points early, you will get more currency, which will make your character better, and then you can snowball from there. So let's see what I personally am going to do. So the very first thing is we're going to go into prolific essence to get an additional essence in every map. And I want to make this clear, essences are not just there to sell, right? Essences have a lot of applications at League Start. If you look at what essences do, a lot of them allow you to craft better gear straight up. Day one rare economy is really weird, right? You're paying, I don't know, 5 chaos for a random gloves with like 70 life and 60 res, right? It is just kind of wild, right? 30% movement speed boots, no matter what they have, are really expensive. So just being able to make your own gear for cheap is huge. And I'm not just talking about the obvious ones like Essence of Greed, right? Which gives you a life roll, a guaranteed one. Or Shrieking Essence of Dread for like EA builds or Toxic Rain builds to get that +2 to socketed bow gems. No, I'm also just talking about generally like Shrieking Essence of Hatred, for example, or the other counterparts, right? That just where you can just throw it on an armor or belt or something and you get cold res, right? Or lightning res or fire res. These will make at least decent items. And when you usually look at the items that you come out of the campaign with, right, everything is kind of an upgrade. So I guess what I'm trying to say is don't just think about the economic impact of essences, also think about what it can do for your character immediately. Next up, we will go into an additional shrine per map. And the reason for that is really simple. It's because I'm going to use the Gull Raven mask, which is a extremely strong early game unique, or rather early league unique. What this one gives you is it creates small shrines around you the more you walk around, and you also increase the effectiveness of shrines that you get from other sources. And it also has a decent life roll and a little bit of res, so what is not to like, right? And the thing about this helmet is at League Start you don't really have much character power, right? You're struggling for gear, and this is where some temporary buffs like shrines can really come in big, and you're kind of supporting it with supplication to get an additional shrine. So now that every single map that we open has an additional essence and an additional shrine, we now also want to have some map sustain. So we are going to go through expert reconnaissance up to both shaping the valleys and shaping the seas. Now the small nodes that you path through give you extra chance to get a Kirac mission on completion. You also get extra Atlas scouting report chance. So Kirac missions at the start whenever you want to unlock your Atlas are actually pretty damn good. We're going to respec these, I guess, later on like day 3, day 4. But for now, they get us through to shaping the valleys, shaping the seas. Now, we're not really going to use Fortune Favors to Brave, right? This is just for the maps found have a chance to be 1 tier higher. Same here. The implicit is kind of irrelevant. It's just for map sustain. Now, after that, before we're going to work further on our essences, we're going to go for Stream of Consciousness. Now, this is one of the new keystones that is extremely strong. Your maps cannot be modified by fragments, which we're not looking to do, right? We don't have money for scarabs yet. We're only completing our Atlas, and then your maps have 50% more base chance to contain extra content. And most content has a base chance of 8%, so this gets you from 8% to 12%. So much more chance for getting that extra Breach, Legion, Blight, whatever gives you a little bit more currency early. It's just really strong. Also like Mirror of Delirium, stuff like that. And after that, we go straight into Amplified Energies. Now this will be basically the bread and butter of our essence strategy, and we're already here, right? Usually you don't get here that fast, but we're prioritizing it, right? But now we're gonna go a little bit back and we're gonna fill some of the other essence nodes, like for example Crystal Lettuce. And furthermore, we're also going to go into Crystal Resonance. But now we'll probably need some extra map sustain, so we're going to go Shaping the Mountains, right? Whenever you're before red maps are harder to sustain than yellow maps. You're gonna need a little bit of a push. Now I don't think it's immediately necessary to go Shaping the Skies, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna block some of the content we don't want anymore. And for me, that's gonna be first and foremost Abysses. I think these are horrible. They take too long, they go into the other direction. They're good if you do like Delirium Mirrors and you know exactly what you're doing in endgame, but here, not so much. I'm also going to block Breach, and I'm going to leave open Expedition. Expedition is extremely strong in my opinion. For now, we're going to leave open Harvest as well, because early harvests can give you a lot of advantages, and I'm probably also going to block Legion, because at this point, we don't want anything that takes too long. We just want to progress. Now, by blocking these, we get a ton of extra chance to actually get some of the other league mechanics that we haven't blocked, right? Now, one thing I want to mention is at this point, you're going to have Essence on your map device, which is going to cost 3 chaos each. I would say that if you can afford it, definitely go for it as early as possible. I don't think you will have too much problems actually selling the essences, but that's up to you. Now, after we have this one set up, now we basically have essences. We blocked a little bit of our content. We have some decent map sustain. We're going to go a little bit further, and that's further by blocking more content. We're going to go here. Now, what I will say is that I will probably be grabbing Shaping the Skies. I think at this point we should be fine on map sustain, but better safe than sorry. If you're fast enough on the Atlas, you can sell some of these maps anyways, but I would say at this point, if you don't feel like it's necessary, you don't have to take it. Now, as for what you want to block, I'm definitely going to block Ritual Altars. I don't think it's worth my time. I want to complete my Atlas. I want to do content later. I want to get all those juicy rewards first. I'm also going to be blocking Blight encounters. At this time, you should have already encountered Cassia one time at least, and I don't think it's worth slowing down at this progression curve here. And the rest, I'm not going to block. Now, you could block Metamorph. Actually, quite like Metamorph at the start. The catalysts are really, really nice and sell pretty well. Expeditions are just insane, right? Mirror of Delirium, obviously not a block. And this one is a little bit weird. A lot of people don't like contracts and heist in general. I would say still don't block it, just for the reason that this doesn't only block smugglers caches, it also just blocks random heist drops. It actually happens quite a lot that at some point you just drop a random blueprint that's worth like 10 chaos, and that can be huge at league start. So I personally won't be dropping this one, but if you really need to, do whatever you have to. And at this point, we kind of have the skeleton of what we're trying to do. But next up, we also want to get our shrines a little bit stronger. So the goal is good enough at this point, but what we're looking for is the next bit of juice. And for that, we're going to go with Drawn to Power and Syncretism, basically playing even a little bit more into the whole Gull playstyle. Now, if for some reason you don't want to run Gull, maybe you have a build that can't run, like that needs a certain helmet, then you can forego this, but shrines are still pretty decent, so would still maybe try it. Now that we're done with essences and shrines, we can think about getting another league mechanic into the mix, right? We're blocking quite a few of league mechanics, and we get extra chance to just randomly encounter others, right? So for example, if we go Expedition, which we're planning to do, we have 8% base chance to get one in our map, plus 4% here, and plus 1 to 3 plus 10%, so a total of 22%. Kind of like every 5th map we get a free expedition. Obviously, if you drop a random expedition scarab, definitely use it, but I wouldn't go out of my way to pay for them right now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go through here. We're gonna go through the small nodes, which give you even more % chance to encounter an expedition, and we're gonna go to Buried Knowledge first. This will enhance your expeditions quite a bit, but it's not enough. We're also going to go here for both Ancient Writings and Distinguished Demolitionist. So I'm gonna go through here once again, even more chance to naturally get a expedition. So now we're gonna get quite a bit of expedition juice, a little bit of like just raw currency from Tujen, right? A little bit of nice crafts from Rog, but you can also go further all in and go for Hunt for Answers and get even more chance for expedition. I personally don't think this is worth it. Also, something I want to mention is if you are fine with dying at this point, you can take Dance of Destruction. I personally wouldn't do it because you're in the phase where you get a lot of levels, right? At this point, you're going to be in like, I don't know, level 85 to 90 levels. So dying more is probably not worth it, right? Every level gives you character power, and character power means better progression. So maybe leave this one out until you're more confident with your character. What I will be doing next is I'm going to path up here and take all that glitters. This means you have a 10% chance that your shrines are covetous shrines, which are basically give you extra quant. And the small notes here are also very nice. They each give you 10% chance for the additional shrine, making Gull even better, which is always what you want before you get a Headhunter or something like that. And at this point, the only thing that kind of is missing here is altars. Now, the reason I'm waiting so long for these nodes is that altars have been reworked, right? They seem pretty damn scary nowadays, I will say. So I think you want to delay them a little bit. But at this point, we can take Shadow of Hunger for extra chance for altars. And we will also go down here and pick up Rampant Growth. You also want to take all of the small nodes because it gives you pack size for the Eater of World mobs, right? They did change this, so this doesn't work anymore with like Elder Influence or the different influence, so you don't have to grab both clusters anymore, right? It now specifies that this only gives Searing Exarch pack size, and this only gives Eater of World pack size. Now, about Eldritch Gaze, I'm actually not 100% sure what I think about this Keystone. I'm not even sure this is worth it at all, ever. And that's because of how rewards scale, right? A lot of these rewards are like, you get an extra scarab, you get 2 extra scarabs, you get 3 extra scarabs, for example. And the problem is PoE doesn't do decimals. So if you get 50% of 1 extra scarab, you're still only going to get 1 scarab. And if you get 3 extra scarabs, you only go up to 4, not to like 4.5 or something. It doesn't exist. So in a weird sense, 50% isn't even that good. And if you looked at some of these new Eldritch mods, I might stand corrected, right? But it looks pretty damn scary. At least don't do this on like the first few days. I think you're going to have a really bad time. So at this point, we kind of have the skeleton of what we want to achieve with this Atlas passive tree, but there's some more small things that you can add. For example, these 3 small nodes, 1 rare monster in each of your maps is duplicated. The reason I'm not going to take this early like I did last league is I think Arch Nemesis rares might just be really scary, and some of these duplicated very early when your character isn't that strong might just overwhelm you. But if I'm wrong with that assessment, then you can definitely take these earlier, right? I'll probably take them at some point. You can also take extra chance to get a Mirror of Delirium. It's always good money at league start. You can go even further here, right? You can also, if you want to enhance your metamorphs, right? Since you already get a lot of natural chance to spawn them, or you can just, I don't know, respec Stream of Consciousness and actually use Metamorph Scarabs if you wish to do so. You can go all in here, whatever you prefer. Some people will like to get some more passive currency, and they're going to go for stuff like Casing the Joint, right? It doesn't really slow you down, so it's really good currency. Whenever you drop that revealed blueprint, that's going to be like an Exalt or something. Or if you really like Harbingers, you can also go into that. I personally don't love Harbingers. I think they slow you down too much for getting a little bit of scrap. Also, if you're planning on going for Delirium Mirrors, you can already save up some of the Alva missions for that later. Also, something I was thinking about is with altars getting nerfed and being harder overall, it might actually be worth it to cut all of this and go for Maven rotations, as weird as it sounds, right? Maven rotations got a lot more tools. You now have Captivated Interest, which gives you more splinters found, right? Increased quantity in a Maven's Crucible, and they're all released at once, which might be scary, but overall it's going to save you a lot of time so you can be in maps quicker again. You also get the Height of Hubris, which doubles the effects of modifiers on your invitation, giving you more quantity, also making the invitations harder, obviously, but we're talking about the normal invitations. We're talking about normal monsters, normal bosses, so you should still be able to do it if you have a good build, but the number one thing why I think this could be viable is that Maven's writs, right, the thing that opens Maven, might just be insanely expensive this league, not just because it drops 100 like an elevated sex at 100% of the time for Maven farmers. It also drops the new Empower gems. These are going to be so expensive, right, and they drop from Uber Maven. So people overall will be fishing for them. I don't know if it will make that much of a difference. I'm just saying that just in case that rituals are just not as rewarding anymore, this is definitely a valid replacement, or at least just try it out. But yeah, this is basically how I'm going to start off my 3.18 Atlas passive tree. I will link it down in the description so you can take a look maybe. Something I want to point out is that definitely take these blocks with a grain of salt. It doesn't matter what I think about Abyss, right? If you like Abyss, you don't block it, right? Same thing here. If you don't like Metamorph, just block it. So these are completely up to your own interpretation. I would say you should probably never skip Delhi Mirror. It's just too much currency at league start, right? I would probably also almost never block Harvest because it just gives you random good stuff at the start. But I understand if you don't want to engage with Harvest, it can be very rippy and kind of annoying to do, very time intensive. I would say Expedition. I personally think it's a no-brainer, but I know a lot of people don't like Expedition, so you do you. But that's it for the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe. As always, a huge shout out to my Twitch subscribers and my Patreons. I couldn't do stuff like this without you. Thank you so much for the support. And yeah, gonna be a spicy league. I guess something I forgot to say is singular focus eats your cortexes, so be careful is all I'm saying. If you know what you're doing, you can definitely take it, but it is confirmed that it actually eats your synthesis maps and your shaper maps, so just know that. But overall, I'm really happy with where the Atlas passive tree is now. For end game, we have a lot of spicy stuff to discuss during the first few weeks of the league. I don't really want to give out any end game trees yet because I just don't know how they play, and I don't want to bait you into anything weird. But with that being said, since I still don't have a slogan, See you next time.